What's going on, my MSF family? It's your boy Ken, and today I wanted to bring you guys a segment that we do on our Twitch streams every Wednesday. I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But yeah, for this one, just a community ISO discussion that we do every single Wednesday. And this week we did Sinister Six. And next week we're planning to do Supernatural. So feel free to come and check us out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more of this. And if you guys enjoy this, you can also feel free to join my Discord. In my Discord, it's the best way to know when I go live, whenever I post YouTube videos as well. So all of that will be down in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into it. This one, I'm gonna be going, including Doc Ock. I was one of the lucky few, I guess, to be able to unlock Doc Ock his first go around. So we're definitely gonna be talking about the entire faction as a whole and what we're doing with ISOs for these characters. So, but I'm gonna start as we do starting from the bottom. You go all the way to the top. So we're talking about Mysterio, and Mysterio is actually he's somewhat of a good part of this faction. Like, he definitely works well. I've been finding myself actually taking him out at times just because, you know, he just doesn't have the damage compared to some of the other characters within this team. But some of the stuff that he ends up doing for this team, like I said, his special and his ult are actually not quite bad. Adding the heal block to the primary target and then random enemies. But if you end up T4ing this, then it's heal block to all the enemies as well. So he has a somewhat really good kit that can go along with the rest of Sinister Six, but like I said, really doesn't. What he lacks is the damage, and I don't have the red stars for him too, so that's why at times I end up actually taking out my Mysterio from my regular Sinister 16. But we're talking ISOs today, and we're talking about what you're using for this one. What are you doing with your Mysterio in Sinister 6?
I've chosen Skirmisher.
Skirmisher?
A lot of AoEs. Yep. So he's spreading those vulnerabilities around. I'm not sure how many counterattacks and stuff. I don't have the most optimum Sinister Six team because I don't have Swarm or Electro leveled up.
So you're missing all the charged characters.
So I'm having a lot of fun trying to get 50 ability off Swarm at the moment in real-time PvP.
Yeah, guys, and you guys in the chat, there's a poll up. Let me know what you guys are doing when it comes to the ISOs for Mysterio, or if you even have ISOs for Mysterio. let me know if you guys are even using Mysterio at all. Like I said, definitely now it's a little bit challenging when you have a faction with multiple options like this, and definitely there's some characters that ends up, you know, getting left off from it. In War, there's also on death, summon an additional mirror image, and then plus 40% damage. So that, you know, there's a couple of things that he does that I say are actually quite good. It depends on if you have a really high Mysterio, high red star Mysterio. He can at that point maybe put a little bit more damage. But he's one of those characters in this team that I tend to take out at times, and including like what I have him right now, I'm using them in War defense. I'm not using my Mysterio as a part of that team. I'm actually using someone else. So far, someone said Striker. Kit. Yeah, and that's the thing I just said too. Like, he has a good kit. Maybe it's just the fact that he doesn't have the base stats to kind of back him up. But you know, that's a really decent AoE, and applying heal block to all the characters. If you end up T4ing it, it's actually not a bad move on his end. His special, you know, applying blind to target, and then on top of that, in War, instead of applying blind for one turn, you apply ability block for 2 turns to primary target and then gain the extra focus. Then you also gain that assist from a random Sinister 6 ally as well. And then if you T4 that one, it's always gain an assist from a random ally as well. So his kit is actually decent. He ends up I think his basic clears too. Yeah, clears 2 positive effects from primary target as well. So it's like nothing really goes wasted on this character. But like I said, the one thing I think that holds him back usually it's his stats, his base stats.
Yeah, he does have that advantage too, where he depending on if you're versing a live player or whatever, you can sometimes get that resurrect from him, because you know how he splits up into 2. So he does have some viability, and I once I work up Electro and Shocker, Electro and Swarm, he'll definitely be On my team, anyway. I've got some good red stars on him.
Yeah. All right, and only a couple of votes in the chat so far, but I'm getting Striker for him, which is interesting. He isn't necessarily the fastest character on this team too, so I guess it depends on the 5 that you're picking for him. If you do end up Striker with him, there is, of course, that chance that you can clear the positive effects. So I guess it's not a horrible thing to make him a Striker too. And I actually didn't think about that. But he goes pretty early on. So I think other characters, doesn't he go second turn or first turn for them? I'm trying to think.
Vulture's the
first, right? Vulture's first, and then I think it's Mysterio if you have him with him.
He's at 100 speed.
Yeah.
It depends on your team, because I think
on
Electro. So Doc Ock is 124. Electro, I think, because of all the abilities, actually goes first, doesn't she? And she can do her ultimate.
Yeah.
She's 120.
Right. So it definitely depends on who you're using him with. That might be an opportunity then to make him a Striker, depending on who you're using. If you have, Electro does go quicker than him. Yeah, at 120. So even Vulture and Electro would end up going before Mysterio. And if you make, some of those characters Raiders and there's vulnerables in place, then yeah, he could be, a good Striker then, I think, after that. So that makes sense. I like that. But yeah, it won for the chat. 2 Strikers so far. People voted.
No one likes my Skirmisher.
Nobody likes Skirmisher. I do. I actually have him as a Skirmisher. So I am agreeing with you on that aspect. And that, I guess, for that particular reason that you mentioned too, just being able to also generate that extra focus would be ideal for him when you get to level 5, because he ends up needing that. Like I said, his base stats are probably not the greatest, so you can add that extra 50% focus on him. It would be fantastic. But with some of the team makeups that you have, he's actually one of the faster characters in here. Either he'll go second or third, so just adding another person that can land vulnerable on him. So we have him as a Skirmisher. Half Baked also likes him as a Skirmisher, so good call on our end. But definitely Striker, depending on some of the other characters that you end up implementing this team or putting this team with, might not be a bad option then. So Striker or Skirmisher. We're gonna keep him as a Skirmisher. We can always change around the teams and see what happens. But the next one we're talking about is Green Goblin, and Green Goblin seems to be the one, I think, out of all the other Sinister Six characters that ends up kind of like being left off, or not left off, but unless you really have a high red Green Goblin. But high red Green Goblin's max, by the way. He can definitely hurt some people. But at the same time, a lot of people tend to use him in different aspects of the game, and there is probably better compositions of Sinister Six that don't involve Green Goblin. But he does something that not many people do in this game with his passive, and that is being able to unspawn, apply defense down to one enemy. But then this one right here, if they have a positive effect, remove 1 on any Spider-Verse ally's turn. Choose 2 random enemies, and then, like I said, if they have a positive effect, remove 1. So Sinister Six, technically Spider-Verse. They're all Spider-Verse. You're constantly removing buffs from the other side, so he can actually be a pain to go up against.
Him and Shocker seem to be the ones that aren't really used anywhere, but he hasn't got a bad kit. He's just been power crept out, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially if you have Doc Ock. It just makes sense for you to start, bringing in Electro and Swarm. You definitely want to take advantage of those charges that Doc Ock is going to be generating. So, and then with that, like I said, there's definitely out of the other Sinister characters, definitely I think other mechanics that the other characters bring to the table that will help them become a stronger team. And whereas, Green Goblin, like I said, he might be like a good 6th option or 7th option. He's on the outside looking in for the most part with this team. Also,
well, it depends.
Do Flamingo the Ting, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to Ken's Army. Poor Hasper just said Shocker and Green Goblin are the ones that I have the highest rest stars on. Like I said, but I just said it. You might actually want to be using your Green Goblin if you have like a 6 rest stars. Like he's max. Like especially when you do Fire and Brimstone with this character and you have a really high rest star Green Goblin, he ends up deleting enemies from the other side of the field. So I mean, it's not probably the most ideal character to include there. if you already have Doc Ock and you have the other charge with the chargeable mechanics characters, but still a really good character at high rec star. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Shocker is the one where I feel bad because like I don't even use my Shocker. I use summon Shocker most of the time with Doc Ock.
Yeah, Doc Ock summons. It should be noted that there's only 2 more Sinister Six that need to be brought in to get 2 full teams.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the ones I did hear as a rumor was the Green Goblin, but a more traditional Green Goblin. You know, the one on his hoverboard or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool.
Instead of like the so
OG,
you know, potentially
the OG Green Goblin. Yeah.
Yeah, the OG. So potentially him, Hobgoblin, Chameleon. There's a whole bunch of ones that they could bring in to maybe bring Shocker and Green Goblin back onto a Sinister Six team. So you have like a B team.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens.
Well, and the thing is, this is such an important faction in this game. Not many factions get you two legendaries in the game as a whole, and not accessible early on in the game. So I don't think it's one of those factions where you feel bad about bringing them up, just because, like we said, there's definitely value in them, and there's also going to be value in them in the sense of more characters that can fill a secondary Sinister Six team that can come. We have Spider-Man 3 coming soon, it seems, sometime like next year, so that's going to be an opportunity. A lot of the rumors are that some of the actors that portrayed some of the legendary villains, not legendary but Sinister Six villains, are coming back, including Sandman. So who knows if we end up getting like Sandman in here.
Oh, I haven't heard that, but I've heard Doc Ock.
Doc Ock is coming. Alfred Molina apparently was already spotted, and then the actor that
Electro,
played Sandman, Jamie Foxx, and then the last one that I heard,
Electro.
Electro was Jamie Foxx, and then the last one that I heard was the guy that played Sandman was spotted too. I forget his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sandman came out in the third one.
Yeah,
people tend to forget that
cool
just because everybody was annoyed with the rendition of Venom. But yeah, Sandman was actually in that movie too, guys. And apparently the actor that played Sandman, has been called on board. So another opportunity to see another Sinister Six character. Sandman would be
very
awesome.
cool character too.
Yeah, I love Sandman.
Very cool.
Sandman and Lizard, yes, I agree. So like I said, so many villains from this faction that are still not in the game that could potentially come in and get you a secondary Sinister Six team. So these are characters that I don't mind people building up for that particular reason. And like I said, not many factions in this game will get you two legendaries as well. So Venora said Sandman coming to MSF, confirmed by Ken. I'm gonna come out in one of those rumor mills like Bally. You know how we get those in the Discord? Ken Sharon said Sandman actor is coming to set. Sandman coming to MSF. Venora, you're funny. So is that Thanos offer worth it? I only have Proxima and Corvus. The offer unlocks him, but I don't know if it's worth it because I'm missing the other. If you don't have the Black Order, I would hold off on it though, Flamingo. Just because Thanos is farmable and you can definitely bring him up later on in the game. I haven't seen that offer, so you might be a newer player in the game. I need to do a baby account so I can see all the offers and I don't miss any of the offers, and I can recommend a little bit better. But no, I wouldn't recommend them. It's not urgent until you get yourself a Maul, get yourself the rest of Black Order, then you can bring in your Thanos. Although Thanos as a whole is probably the one character that I recommended the most to build up in the game, so I'm kind of backtracking myself in that one. If you have the money and if you're a whale, get him, because he's gonna be a character that you're gonna be working on long, throughout the entire game. Not putting any gears into him doesn't hurt. And like I said, very viable, even on his own. I've taken him to Dark Dimension 3, probably will be taking him to Dark Dimension 4 as well in the Cosmic nodes. So a really good character, but if you're trying to just build yourself a Black Order, wait till you have the rest of the Black Order team. All right, and Stream Raiders is up, and we have 14 of you beautiful people in here. You guys know how we do this. For honor. And for this one, we're just standing there. I forgot, this is the defensive one. I love the unicorn, by the way. The unicorn skin is so cool. We need a Luna skin. Then make it happen. Get yourself a Luna skin. I want to see Luna running all over the map and wrecking nerds.
Has to be a rogue.
It has to be a rogue too, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The Leviathan. Leviathan is coming slowly but surely. He's coming. Going after the feeder clam apparently. But we're all just standing here. It takes what, like about a minute for it? Jesus. They finally decided to move. Let's go. Chaos Army coming strong. Yeah, I love the little flag bearers right there. Love it. All right, 10 kills from DJ Kubas. 8 assists from Sway, 9 kills from Sparrow, OP, and 7 assists from Cloverson. Krovich with a 5. Job well done. Team effort, baby. Black Bear Skin, Archer, and Gold being gifted on this one to Volcano Gaming, Rello, and Krovich. Not rigged. Not rigged at all. Oh, those dinos. Get yourself... Let me see. I'm going to put a rogue on this one, I think. Or a War Beast. I think last time we needed a War Beast to get rid of them, but I'll do a rogue. I'll do a flying rogue. Oop. And then exclamation SC if you guys want to join in on the fun. I still need to send them what I want from my head skin. Vin, what I sent in for my head skin came back looking a little sus. So I changed it. They're reworking it again. I'm actually excited about the head skin that we mentioned. I want to surprise people, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But I think the head skin that they're working on looks pretty badass. Or hopefully it'll look pretty badass. We'll see. But all right, getting back into the Sinister Six fun. So Green Goblin, I know we talked about him, but I don't think you even mentioned the ISO class that you're using for him. What are you doing for him?
I'm using him as a raider.
Using him as a raider. And I think chat said that they're using him as a raider as well. I think I did the same thing for him overall. The biggest reason I think why I had him as a raider was just for his AoE more than anything, and just to add that crit damage to him. He has one of, like I said, the strongest hitting AoE attacks in this team, attacking 3 to 4 random targets at 240% damage. Attack the primary target at 240% damage, but if you T4 this, it hits at 300%. Lots of attacks. Burning Rage is another good attack on him, but more for the additional crit damage. And he's not the fastest character, so I just don't see the benefit of having him as a skirmisher myself. His basic really doesn't hit that hard either, the Goblin Strike, to be honest. And you don't hit the adjacent when you do the assist, you don't hit or when you attack and you don't hit the adjacent characters. So with that in mind, I think that's why I had him as a raider. All right, Electro, you said you don't have, so I can take this one if you, or do you have Electro?
I have Electro, just not. She's not in my main team because I haven't leveled her.
I'll send you a picture, Vin. It looked like Mr. Tumnus. Do you know Chronicles of Narnia? That's what my head looked like Mr. Tumnus. It was not cool.
I want you to send that to me, Ken.
I'll send it to you too. I'll send it to you afterwards. I was just like, when I got it, I looked at it for like a good 10 minutes. I was like, I think people are gonna troll me with this. I don't think anybody's gonna buy this skin. And like I said, I was like, the more I looked at him, I was like, the more I look like Tumnus from Chronicles of Narnia. It was not fantastic. Sorry, I had to answer. So what are you doing with your Electro?
Currently, I'm using her as raider, but there could be an argument to be as a striker for the extra fill speed bar by 20%.
Yeah. So on her, on turn, you gain +1 charge up to a maximum of 5. Of course, for Warwood, this is where this team really shines, especially when you have the chargeable characters. In War, they do different things, right, that other teams don't do. On Ally Sinister Six turn, gain +1 charge up to a maximum of 5. At the end of any turn, if this character has 5 or more charge, attack the most injured enemy for 200% damage and lose 5 charge. Usually that tends to happen by her second attack, actually. Whenever I've used them, I'll end up doing the special, doing a live warrior attack, which hits pretty strong already as a whole. You get the 260% damage plus the bonus attack for 100 damage, and then like I said, the passive also hits on her. So we end up deleting nerds with Electro. She's a really strong character.
In War, can't you with Doc Ock actually do the ultimate in the first turn?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, which clears
but not even
effects,
in War. You can just do it right now. Even in the Blitz battle, you can start with which is what I always do with her. When I run Electro, I like to put offense down on the entire team initially. So unless unless it's gonna be one of those where I'm doing a major punch up and the other side has deflex, and I know maybe the offense downs won't stick. But for the most part, I to this day I still, when I use them, I have not done the special beforehand. I've always done the ult, and there was like a bug at first, but ever since they fixed that bug, all the offense downs always stick with her. What are they doing for Electro, Isos, Raider? Two people are saying Raider on her too, and Raider is what I have her as well. And you said that's where you have her as well. The reason why I like to give Raider to her is the first attack that you do with her, or you want to do with her, is it's usually offense down, and it attacks all the primary targets. She's a speedy character too, so she goes before most of the Sinister Six team. Like I said, either first or second, depends on if you have Vulture. If you don't have Vulture, then she's gonna be the first one to go, and then you're gonna be landing those offense down, but hopefully you're also landing some vulnerables in place. But even with live wire being able to attack the primary target, and then plus bonus attack as well, so you get 2 attacks in, and then if the passive triggers, you hit another character, so 3 opportunities to land more vulnerables as well. So even with the special, plenty of chances where you can try and land some vulnerables in place if you have her as a Raider. She's not a bad option, I don't think, as a striker as well, though, because you end up also filling the speed bar for self by 20%, which is somewhat similar to what makes Ghost really good in the game. And I think we talked about that slightly last time, but Ghost is one of the best strikers in this game for that reason, just because you almost want to have like that Pimtech team as a skin. Well, we're not going to talk too much about Pimtech today. We'll leave Pimtech for another day, but you guys get the point. She's definitely not a bad option as a striker, and I think you mentioned that just now, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, and then, but the community said, for both so far wins towards Raider, people are using Raider on Electro, and that's what I'm using on her as well. And for those reasons that I mentioned, she is a speedy character, multiple opportunities to land vulnerables on the opposite end as well. So plenty of opportunities to land vulnerables with the enemy range. We're moving on to Swarm. Belba to Rose, how you doing today? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well, my friend. What do you use on Chucker? We're gonna get to Shocker pretty soon. The Flamingo, so don't worry. But Swarm is coming up, and we just went from one of the newer Sinister Six characters that dropped in the game that has the kit is definitely based around the charges. Swarm is another character, and of course you want charges with this character, because if you don't have charges, he ends up actually hurting himself. Stop hurting yourself. How are you liking Swarm?
He needs his big brother Doc off there so he doesn't hurt himself.
Yeah.
I am using currently Skirmisher on Swarm.
Using Skirmisher.
So debating about maybe Ray just for the extra damage, but Skirmisher just for those vulnerabilities as well as clearing the buffs.
Yeah. And he's actually at 119. He ends up going after Electro, if you end up using Electro. So I guess I have Skirmisher might not be a bad option for him too, because especially at level 5 Swarm with the focus would be fantastic. Sometimes I end up not sticking the disrupted or the defense down because I don't have enough focus to on my end. I only have a 4-star Swarm, so if I were to take him up to 5 ISOs and make him a Skirmisher for the added focus, I think that would really help his special stick a lot more often. That's one of my pet peeves with him, when I end up trying to do the special and it doesn't apply half of what should be applied with this one. I think Skirmisher is definitely a good viable option for him too. I have him as a striker because, as I mentioned, Electro tends to go first, and I'm using the charged characters right now with Doc Ock. Attack the primary target for 190 damage plus 50% drain as well. So the rebound chain doesn't happen if you end up getting that second attack with the striker, but he also gets that plus 50% drain as well. So reason why I wanted to do striker on him, following up someone that has vulnerable in place. Very easy to do either or, though. I think I wouldn't recommend too much. I don't think he would be a horrible Raider either, because he does have a pretty decent AoE. His AoE, if charged, you end up applying 250 damage plus applying the 2 bleeds as well. But if you lose charge and if you don't have any charge and you do this attack, you attack yourself for 500 damage. So probably not a great idea to do that AoE if you don't have Doc Ock or if you have no charges in place with this character. Once again, Swarm can be a little tricky if you're not running him with Big Brother Doc Ock. But all right, so you said you're using Skirmisher on him. I'm using Striker on Swarm for, like I said, for that particular reason. I mean, Striker on him for that particular reason. I do want that additional drain to happen when he ends up hitting. That's the thing about both him and Electro. Technically, they could both be really good strikers, but somebody has to be landing those vulnerables for them to take advantage of that. And unfortunately, in this team, they're pretty fast. So it's something that not only are they pretty fast, but this team is what it's always been like that wombo combo combination team where they do a lot of damage early on. So unless the fight is going for a really long time, depending on who your opponent is, you might not take advantage of him, you know, if there's no vulnerables in place.
And I think it really matters on how your whole setup is as well. So we'll get into one of my strikers in the Sin 6 team. But you're right, if you've got a lot of strikers, that vulnerability isn't kicking off. Oh, sorry, his second attack's not kicking off.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Well, and like you said, there's 8 characters, so it's something where you can change it based on that, based on the speed. I think Skirmisher makes sense for him too. Raider makes sense for him depending on, like I said, the team composition for that AoE. If he does have Doc Ock, it might not be a horrible option, but I do like him as a striker. Usually there is at least a couple of vulnerables in place being left from Electro, and then from there I'll try to get an attack with Swarm so that I can get that extra drain. Alright, and so far the community is voting, and they're voting Striker on him too as well. We got 3 strikers so far. Alright, I'm gonna go have a good one, dudes. Alright, Vin, I'll check you out later. Hope you have a great stream if you stream today.
Have fun, Vin.
Alright, so I think Striker is probably the one that makes the most sense if you're running him with both Electro and Doc Ock, but definitely different options that we can use for him based on, you know, the combinations that you're using with this team. If you don't have Doc Ock, he might be one of those characters actually that you end up leaving off for the reason that we just mentioned. He benefits from the charges that Doc Ock give him, but if you're going in for a long fight and he loses his charges, you're gonna lose your Swarm in most cases. So yeah. All right, and going to the Vulture, he's actually a pretty cool character design in the game. I love the way that they did Vulture. He's, you know, he has that like almost retro but modern look to him in the game, and I thought he, out of all the entire Sinister Six team, the only problem with him is that he is so squishy, but he can do so much for this team.
He's very quick though, so I think that counters his squishiness.
Yeah, and that's thank God he is quick to counter that, because like I said, I think when you're trying to use this team, you want to do damage early on, and that's where I think he can be a really good addition to the 5 being used in the field. I actually am using him in my ward defense team, and he's been getting me a lot of wins. So as I mentioned, I'm not using Mysterio. I've been using actually Vulture. Vulture just does a lot of speed manipulation on this team that can definitely help your team win a lot more. And he is one of the squishiest characters, so he tends to be targeted early on to get rid of. But like I said, he does so many things. Starting off the bat, what he'll do for you, it's his special. Attack primary target and all adjacent targets for 240% damage plus 70% chance to apply slow. If the target is a city hero, you apply offense down for 1 to 2 turns as well. So and he comes right out of the package, right out of the boat with that one. So if you're already adding slows to the team and your speedier characters in your team are ready to go, you're taking advantage of more turns on your end. What are you doing with your Vulture nowadays?
He actually doesn't make my cut to the Sin 6 team. However, I've got him as a Raider. He's very quick, a lot of manipulation between his passive, his ultimate as well. He gets the extra damage boost, which is really nice for him for the Raider, and he's throwing out all those vulnerabilities, so you can have your strikers go in there and start hitting targets down.
Yeah, he's almost like, I hate to say this because it's not a fair comparison. He's almost like the Carnage for the Sinister Six team. Like, he does so much when it comes to speed manipulation with the special applying the slows, but then you reduce the speed bar with his ult, and you end up reducing speed bar by 20%. The extra 5% is actually not a bad default to do on him. You know, getting 25% can make the difference between you getting that extra attack and getting rid of an enemy before they even get to go. So on top of that, with his special as well, I mean with his passive, if you T4 that one, you feel the speed bar by 15%, and then +5 block chance to each series hero. So a lot of speed manipulation with this guy, but he is squishy. So you definitely want to start, if you use him, you want to use him in fights when you know you're gonna win it in probably a couple of turns. More than likely.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about the Sinister Six team, is they hit really hard in those first couple of opening volleys, and then you just hope that you've done enough damage to either take someone off the board or a couple of people off the board, and just clean up from there. You find that they tend to struggle against teams with a lot of either regen or a lot of health.
Yeah, for sure. So I have him as a Raider as well, for the added crit damage, like I said, and then like I said, like we were talking about, pretty much everything except for his basic, it's gonna be multiple damage, multiple targets hit, so plenty of opportunities to get vulnerables with him as well. So on top of that, if you have him as a Raider and if you have Electro as a Raider and you're using both of those two guys, you're giving yourself 2 opportunities for more vulnerables to be landed on the opposite end. But yeah, Vulture is a really cool character. I know, like I said, that he is a very squishy character, but the speed, the fact that he's so fast does end up countering that a little bit. Boom. Big bad boy Rhino right here. Actually, pretty cool design in the game for him. I remember when they came up with the design, and I really love that they went with this one versus like the retro Rhino look is one of the worst looks for Rhino. I think that the Sinister Six have. This one I actually enjoy, the more modern Rhino looking. He definitely looks like a mean machine. What are you doing with your Rhino?
The comic book version looks like he's in a leotard.
That's what I'm saying. I'm glad they did not go. I'm glad they did not go that route. I'm glad that they did my boy some justice. And I want to say this design looks familiar to, what was that Spider-Man run? It was one of the newer Spider-Man runs that I remember seeing, where like Josh was the voice of Spider-Man. Josh from I'm dating myself, but like from the Nickelodeon, series. Josh and Drake, I think it was, where he was playing the voice. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, it seems to have gone a bit more metallic and a bit more of a suit. So I'm using Raider on him. I know some people use Striker. I feel that he runs into, and I say this every single week we do this, all he's doing is more damage, and he has some, attack adjacent with his special attack, the Stampede, attack primary and all thing. He's really just throwing out a lot of, he gains the extra damage from Raider. He's throwing out a lot more vulnerabilities, and that's why I went with Raider.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a bad option at all on him. I've been going back and forth on him in my head. I do like him, so I've been using him as a striker more than anything for the added damage. And he is one of the slowest characters, so my thought process on him, putting striker on him, is, like I said, adding the damage to both his special and his ult. So he hits at a different level. But then on top of that, more vulnerable should be in place as well. So even when he does his AoE for his, not his AoE, but when he does his special or his ult, he'll go back to the main target if they have vulnerable and getting that extra attack with the pummel in. So more than anything, I just wanted to take advantage of adding more damage to him, especially more damage to when he does his ult and when he does his special. But I think Raider is also a very good option because you do hit multiple targets too.
So it should be noted that if you're just doing it for the damage, you get a bigger boost out of Raider.
At a Raider, yeah, long term. I switched my Rhino to Fortifier today to try it out. I can't wait until I get Doc Hawk. That's also a good option. Fortifier so that he ends up staying alive for the team. That's a good point right there, Weapon. Just he has such a large health pool as it is from this particular team. Healer almost doesn't make sense, especially if you have Doc Hawk, just because Doc Hawk it's probably the best healer in this team, and you end up getting all those regens in place. But Fortifier, definitely a nice one to consider for him, I think.
The problem with Fortify, and I'm not disagreeing, I'm just you really need it at the
higher levels.
Really level 5. Level 3 is still pretty average.
Yeah.
But Fortify as the tank, he's someone that is in my Sinister Six team, and even when I get Swarm and Electro up, he'll still be one of those cool members.
Yeah. So something to consider, but if you do consider that, I think definitely at the higher levels makes more sense. Fortifier for him, and definitely you want to try and keep him alive as much as possible. He's the only one that taunts in this team too, so based on who you're facing, something to consider. You want to have a really strong Rhino survive for you on your end. But I definitely like Raider for him, and as you mentioned, long term too, not long term but just as a whole, if it's just for the damage, Raider makes more sense. I do like that extra hit on him too, and then if you have level 3 as well, you end up taking care of that vulnerable in place. But a level 3, not a level 3, level 5, increased damage too on him, so something to consider. I think for both
I'm also guessing for the leader, I've probably chosen something that a lot of people haven't, so it makes more sense when you look at my roster or
you
my
look at
team
your roster
as a whole. Yeah.
All right, and for Rhino, people selected Striker. They selected Striker. Like I said, I think Striker makes sense. He is one of the slower characters, so he takes advantage of the vulnerable. But adding even with the added increased damage, but also adding an extra attack in makes sense with Rhino. You might end up bleeding a character just by getting that extra attack in too. So just a good option to consider. But I think Raider makes sense. Raider's what Mandogs is using on him, and I think Fortifier at high levels, like Weapon X mentioned, it's also a good thing to go Rhino. And then we'll see when we get to the leader what Mandogs is doing with him. But before we get to the leader, we have Shocker, who I have him at 5 red stars, so it's not like I don't have good red stars on him. He's actually one of my better red stars from my team, and he's definitely a good Sinister Six member. Like what he does for the team itself, damage wise, getting that offense up, it's actually quite great. The problem is I haven't T4'd anything for him, and since I'm putting T4s in Doc Hawk, the clone actually benefits because they get the T4s themselves. So I haven't touched my Shocker ever since I got Doc Hawk. But let me know, what are you doing with your Shocker? Because you're using him, you said, right?
No, I've got the same thing. I've got a 6-star 5 red. All his abilities are level 2. When I got Doc Hawk, I just Shocker,
you're like, oh.
dead.
I'll never need him again. Well, don't say that, because like I said, we could potentially have two Sinister Six factions running to at one point or another. So I'm glad that I was at least I'm glad that I was at least able to take him up to gear tier 10 in 6664 before I got Doc Hawk, because this is definitely where he's gonna be staying here for a little bit. Not using him too much in the game. He's helping me win some blitz rotations with the makeshift team that I made, but for now he's definitely being left off. But if you were using him, what would you be doing for Shocker?
I got him as a Raider.
Got him as a Raider as well?
I know some people will say Shocker is a striker, but again, you're not getting too much out of his basic. Yes, you're doing a bit more damage, but the damage, I think, overall is better on the Raider. But realistically, I'd be surprised. I'm not surprised if you don't have Doc Hawk, but if you have Doc Hawk and you're using Shocker, that surprises me.
Yeah.
More power to you.
Yeah, I guess if you have like a 7 red star T4 Shocker, then that makes sense. Then at that point, maybe you want another someone to come through instead of, because you're gonna have a really strong Shocker then on the field. But like that's definitely gonna be probably not too many of the reasons. So The thing with Shocker is his first turn, he doesn't attack anyone, and like I said, this is definitely a team that within 2 turns, more than likely, you're almost done with him. So you know, you're gonna want to do with him, if you do have him, right? If it's not a summon, if you do have him on your team, you're gonna wanna use his special, so that you do end up applying the offense up to yourself and to your Sinister Six allies. So yeah, right off the bat, the only other attack that at most times you end up getting from him is his not really an AoE attack, but just a multiple target attack by attacking the primary target and all adjacent targets. So technically depends on where you're attacking, because if you're using him in raids and whatnot, there might be more targets in place, but usually in a typical fight there's only 2 adjacent characters next. So I do have him as a striker, but like I said, I think I did this when he first came out and I haven't changed him to be honest. So I was like, oh, he looks like he's gonna be a decent striker. I wanted to add back then I wanted to add more damage to him, and I just thought, well, I'm not gonna use him as a raider because I'm not gonna be landing any vulnerables first couple of turns with him. If anything, I want him to take advantage of more vulnerables on the field. So I don't think striker is horrible on him. I think striker makes sense on him. Raider, just for the added crit damage, also makes sense for him. But the problem is, like I said, you definitely have better options for your Sinister Six team to work. Just because he's the first one that will be summoned from Doc Ock in the list, and if you end up T4 in your Doc Ock, your special, at least the ult at least, then more than likely you will not need a Shocker. People are using Striker and Raider, so both of the ones that we just mentioned for him, Striker and Raider for him, and both of them, like
Excellent.
I said, make sense. We're gonna keep him, I guess, as a Striker, but I think Raider might be a better option now the more that I think of it. Just like I said, for the extra crit opportunities, the extra crit damage, overall damage. He does tend to repeat it. I think it's twice, unless you T4 it. Yeah, if you T4 it, it's a 3rd time, but you repeat this attack using a new primary target and randomly choosing from the previous secondary targets. So it can also change. People have forgotten that at times the first person that you target may not be, considered on the second attack the primary target. It could be one of the adjacent ones. Then another character ends up getting hurt too on the field. So you could potentially end up hurting like not just 3 characters, but 4 or maybe even 5, depending on if you have a T4 at that point. So Raider might be a really good option for him. I have him as a striker. We're gonna try him as a striker, and we can consider him also as a Raider too, as you guys really like Raider on him. All right, but we're gonna finish the Sinister Six faction with Doc Ock. My guy, Doc Ock is so fun. I was so hyped for him when he came out, and then everybody just started saying, oh, he doesn't deserve the legendary tag, he's not that great, and I just kept saying, let's give him a chance. And Doc Ock has quickly become one of my favorite characters in the game. The guy doesn't die. The guy just stays alive as long as possible. Gear 14, Doc Ock, it's a pain actually in War 2 as well to deal with. Just completely regens. It feels like every time you feel like you're gonna get rid of him, he ends up completely fully regen. And just if you T4 some of the T4s in his kits, like his special is actually really, really good, because you end up applying 3 charges as well on him. So like people didn't see the value in this right away, but it's a really, really good T4 to do in him. And then on top of that, the AoE is one of the best AoEs for this team to work. Master Plan is another T4 that I want to do for him, just because mainly I'm using them in War.
I think overall every one of these T4s that's not a waste.
It's not a waste, because you also end up not your clone, but your summon ends up getting those T4s as well. So I did initially the special and the ult, because those are the 2 most important T4s I felt like for Shocker too.
Yeah. So my Shocker's actually pretty good when he gets summoned by Doc Ock.
Yeah, mine too. Mine wrecks nerds. I love I love my Shocker. When my Shocker comes through, this one, like I said, I don't even have the T4 on him, but technically since I have a T4 on Doc Ock, he does repeat the attack a 3rd time as well. And like I said, with a new random secondary target as a new primary as well. So you can technically sometimes at times hit all the enemies on the field. It's quite good when you have a T4. Same thing for his special. So if you T4 Doc Ock special, you're also T4ing Docker special, which you end up applying offense up to self for 2 turns, and then offense up to all Sinister allies as well. So Another good T4.
Yeah, he's also it's really 2 for 1 really with Doc Ock. Even if you change around the Sinister Six or you haven't got certain ones, his summon obviously goes through that specific cycle, so you know who you're gonna get depending on who you've got in the lineup.
So the summon mirrors Doc Ock's. So the summon mirrors Doc Ock's abilities. Yes, weapon. Literally, it's not like with Sinister where you only if you do the T4 on the clone. In this one, whatever T4 you actually put in Doc Ock, you're also gonna give it to whatever the summon's gonna have. So yeah.
So you max T4 him, your Shocker has now max.
Yeah, which is a 2 for 1. A max T4. Doc Ock is also a max T4 Shocker. If you're bringing in your Shocker and you want another. I forget the list. What's the order that they all come in?
So it goes Shocker, Vulture. Let me just think. It's Shocker, Vulture, Rhino, and Green Goblin.
Shocker, Vulture, Rhino, and then got it. Okay. So yeah, Vulture also the T4s we mentioned how good they were for Vulture. So if you do have a Shocker, if you have a fully T4'd Doc Ock, this is not another one that you are necessarily gonna regret. A lot of cool stuff like the added speed bar, then the reduces speed bar by 5%, so even more turn meter going your way if it's Vulture. Cool.
He's also very good in Dark Dimension 3.
He sure is. I forgot to tell you, I one-shot all of City on Monday. I one-shot the last 2 nodes of I did all it was a long Dark Dimension 3 run on Monday. We ended up beating Dark Dimension 3 for the 2nd time, and we one-shot all of City nodes with both Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, and then Doc Ock, and I think my 4th was Anti-Venom. Yeah, Anti-Venom.
Congratulations. That's the team I'm taking into the City nodes.
Oh, you'll have a blast. It's so easy.
I think he's going to be very good in Dark Dimension 4 for the Legendaries as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you said it before, he's literally the leader of the Sinister Six. He's one of the best Spider-Man villains because he's so brilliant. I think out of all the characters they could have chosen, he had to be the legendary. If you're going to make legendaries.
There's been so many Sinister Six factions, but as a whole, everybody knows if there's one character that deserves the legendary tag for Sinister Six, it's definitely Doc Ock. He is literally the master planner, which is his passive right there.
And who doesn't like Elton John in the game?
He definitely looks like Elton John. That's something they should have asked. I was gonna say Spike Lee, but not Spike Lee. Stan Lee. Stan Lee, if he had some, inspiration when he did Doc Ock, if he was watching Elton John or something. He came up with that.
He was a huge fan of Rocket Man. Yeah,
must have been. But still, like I said, an awesome character. I'm actually excited if he ends up coming into the Spider-Man 3 movie. And Alfred Molina is a really, really good actor. I was actually really happy with him portraying Doc Ock. So yeah, we'll see if we get to see him a little bit more. But definitely worthy of the legendary tag. Like I said, in my book, one of the top 10 characters in the game right now. Definitely one of the top legendaries. And the guy's just, like I said, he's like the Energizer Bunny. He doesn't stop. He constantly heals. Good luck trying to get rid of a Doc Ock, especially at high gear levels. I have him at 5 red stars, and I'm definitely next go around, if I can get him to 6 or 7, I might consider him giving another red star to him as well.
Well, the good thing about Doc Ock is he doesn't require Warm or Electro. So for those who are starting the game now, if you don't have Swarm and Electro, because we know how long it takes to come back for them to come in the game, but you can get your X-Force up. Yeah. Doc Ock still makes the original or the OG Sin 6 amazing with his regen, the ability to have 6 now on the table. He's just such a fun character.
Yeah. Holy crap. Look at this. I got 14 war defense wins with him last week in 1 wear and 12 wear while he was the only character. So that's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, people underestimate him. They think he's the last one alive. They can, bring in a team of actually like the same power level value, and sometimes even at the double the power level value as him. He just fully heals every time. Those charges are pain. If you have a T4 on his special, the guy will fully heal back. go from red to green all the way back on his turn. It's actually ridiculous how often he ends
screw
up
that
doing
guy.
Yeah, screw that.
Hey, Stan.
Yep. So, Dog Ock, really strong character. I guess talking about ISOs now for him, what ISO are you using for him?
See, this is where it's controversial.
Dun,
I'm
dun,
using
dun.
him as a I'm using him as a striker.
You're using him as a striker. Okay. And why are you
As a
using him as a
striker.
striker?
Well, the bonus damage, him constantly hitting, and applying those slows across the board, which is why you've chosen characters that you had as striker, and I actually think Doc Ock is a better striker. I know some people say healer, but I haven't come to the issue where he hasn't, unless he's versing like Black Order or something ridiculous. I haven't come to the issue where like I've ever felt that the healer would actually benefit him.
Yeah.
Maybe at a very minute level, but usually he just, as you said, he'll get to red and then just suddenly he's full again. And you're just like, wow, this guy's amazing.
It's a pain.
So he is. He's incredible.
Yeah.
I actually
I
use him
honestly
on
hate-
war offense. Ooh,
Oh, someone else joined. We got Sen in here. Sen
Sen.
Raven. How you doing, Sen?
I honestly hate him.
but yeah.
Seriously.
You hate him?
On war defense, I absolutely hate him.
He's a pain, man.
He's the best.
He's worse than Emma.
He really is. Like I said, the guy, you just when you think you have him down, that you're ready to just knock him over and he's ready to kill over and die, he says, nope, I'm fully healing myself again and deal with me, and I'm about to summon Shocker again. So now you have two to deal with. Every time, he just seems to do that. He's gotten me so many war defense wins. On his own, Hasper just said that 12 out of the 14 defense wins that he had with Sinister Six were just him standing by himself, and the short cooldowns on him too it's what also makes him great. Really short cooldowns on him. So
Honestly, I love him. I think he's an awesome character.
You
But
said
yeah,
that,
so
and I
that's why-
spilled soda all over my shirt.
we got Sen just like quaking in his boots right now because you say Doc Ock and he's just twitching. He's had
No,
nightmares about Doc
the
Ock.
two weren't related. It just happened to be at the same exact time.
That's so funny. Sen, what are you doing with your Doc Ock? What ISOs are you running on him?
Well, currently he's a healer, but I am gonna switch him up because he's also currently only in level 1 ISO.
Oh, okay.
I just switched him over from, and really I need to put more ISOs on him, and I should have done it about a week ago. I just put him on war defense like a day and a half ago, and I'm actually regretting it.
Yeah.
Because mine is only, he's a 5 red, he's a 5-star.
Yeah.
Sorry, my ward just loaded, so it killed my screen. Let me pull him back up. And he's 5 red, 5 yellow, and so he's not 92k because he's tier 14.
Yeah.
But my symbiotes team is like 578.
Yeah.
If you take out Carnage and you put Doc Ock in there, you can actually punch up or punch across on Black Order.
Yeah.
I can't do it without him. So I'm like, well, I might just take him back off of defense and screw it, because that gives me an extra Black Order counter team.
Yeah. Which is
I
always
use
great to
him on
have.
offense.
You use him on offense too? So I
Yep.
guess since it depends when you are in your war. I have one of the baby TCPs in my alliance, and for me, like my Sinister Six team, I think it's better on defense for that reason. There's so many on my alliance that actually have a lot of different counters towards Black Order, so I don't worry about them too much. But if you need them, he's definitely gonna be a good addition as another counter option for your Black Order, so you don't have to just worry about your own Black Order. We know that Doc Ock with the symbiotes actually puts in a lot of work. And what are you using? You said ISO wise for him?
He's
With
a
the
healer
symbiotes?
for me.
Healer too? Okay.
Yeah.
I do like that striker that you mentioned, 2 Mendocs for the additional 2 slows. I don't think that's definitely anything to scoff at, being able to apply slows on the other end. I think for me, the healer aspect on Sinister is just nobody else heals except for him. So just adding that extra region, and is there, except for Rhino, He has the largest health pool out of everyone for me, so I just want someone to constantly be healing the rest of the team.
Well,
But-
and what's his speed? Because he's actually
He's not slow
He's the
either.
second fastest.
He's pretty
third
he's pretty
fastest.
fast.
he's a 124.
Correct. He's
He's
a
speed
124.
124. So having a healer on him is actually pretty good considering how often he gets to go, and he's way faster than than Rhino going.
Yeah, he'll get to go. I think doesn't he go first? I think he goes before even.
Yeah.
He goes first, and then like I said, someone already has a region.
I think it's Vulture, Electro, then him.
Vulture, Electron. Let's see, 124. Vulture is. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. I don't know if I run him with. Yeah, it's Vulture, 127. So Vulture would technically go first, then he goes. If you don't have Vulture, then him. Because I think Electro is 120. I think Electro goes right after him. Yeah, Electro's 120. But you would still have Doc Ock being the one that either the first or second to first going, and then like I said, adding a region already on the field to one of the lowest health allies. Always helps.
Right, and Swarm is 119, so he goes right after.
Yeah, Swarm goes right after.
So you get a summon from Doc Ock. You get Shocker on the field right away. Then Electro and Swarm go. Is Shocker actually faster than those two? No, he's 113. So
yeah, Shocker's slow, right?
so he goes. Yeah, he's 113. So he goes after. But if you have like Green Goblin and Rhino with the other two, I mean, Green Goblin is only 88.
Yeah.
And Rhino is just down there as well.
Yeah, and we said like Green Goblin technically is one of the ones that once you have the chargeable characters, he ends up kind of being left off from this team. But even if you have him there, more than anything, his passive is what ends up doing a lot of work for you, and ends up removing buffs from the other side of the field. But speed wise, you always want someone that's going to be adding like regen to the team and whatnot. And Doc Ock being one of the faster characters on this team kind of makes sense, because you don't want to. For Vulture, you definitely want to keep him as a raider. I don't, and he doesn't have a large health pool either. Rhino, the one thing that kills him is that he's so slow compared to the rest of the team. So if you wanted to add more sustain to your team, I think Doc Ock is the one reason why most people have him as a healer. But you have Mendok set striker, and like I said, his basic ends up applying slow for 2 turns.
I'm currently in a raid at the moment, the Gamma, and I've got Doc Ock.
Sorry, Riot. Sorry, I gotta do this because I got people yelling at me. We guys, for honor, we have 20 people on this one. Let's go.
Do we have a fight for dishonor?
No, never for dishonor. It's always for honor. In your stream, we can go for dishonor.
Remind me next time I actually run.
I'll be there for the next one. I'll make sure you do it for dishonor.
Not often. I'll make sure that it's for a dishonor fight.
Yeah, I keep it honorable. You can, just be dishonorable, Stan. I appreciate it. For this, yeah, there you go. For this, Sen.
Oh God.
All right, and we have 33 allies. Oh, 1 enemy left. Nerds are being wrecked left and right. We have DJ Junkbus. I'm over here like DJ, but yeah, I'm just gonna call you DJ. 9 kills. Velvet to Rose with 11 assists. And then Clever Sun coming in with the 6 kills. Job well done. Once again, I didn't do anything. Benora outdid me with 2 kills. I don't even show up in the top 10. Congrats to whoever's gonna get a healer and a musketeer. Oh, Sen and Relo. This is not rigged, but hey, if you guys are in the call, I hear that you guys get benefits for rewards.
Apparently,
it's 100% rigged.
Apparently, if you guys make the call, you end up getting extra rewards. And we're gonna go towards this blue chest down here, I think. So, dropping some heat on this one. I've never seen this field. Oh no, yeah, this is never mind. I'm smoking. All right, Templar on this one. Exclamation SC if you guys want to join in on the fun. But yeah, Sinister Six, fun faction right now, definitely with Doc Ock. I've heard that not a lot of people are necessarily using them together. Sen just said that he likes to use them with the counter to Black Order and more. So you like to, what do you do with your Sinister Six outside of that? Do you keep the rest in defense when you do that?
No, I had him for offense, and really you can just plug somebody in and have them take out a lower level group, something cheap and fly deck or something.
Okay.
Just toss them at something and get you can clear something out.
Cool.
A lot of times I just didn't wind up using them. A lot of times I'll wind up with like I'll take like 2 losses and then 9 or 10 wins, and I just won't get to them
Got
because
it.
there's enough teams to go through between X-Men and Black Order and then humans and everything else to get 10 other teams into to get 10 wins. But
Have, have you ever tried Sinister Six to take down a Black Order team?
I tried it. It didn't work for me. I know there's a way to do it. For me, it didn't work out. But I've consistently done it with the symbiotes with him instead of Carnage. And without him, I tried it today and I could not do it. And it was pretty much a punch across for a fight.
Yeah, they definitely can take on Black Order. It's more of a punch across. Very rarely do I see a punch up with them. There is a specific turn order that you have to do with them to make that happen. But I've heard from more people that they enjoy countering Black Order a lot more with Simmons and just adding Doc Ock, because you can punch up quite a bit into Black Order when you do that one instead. So but yeah, I actually decided, like I said, in my case, based on my circumstance, to keep them in ward defense, and they're getting me ward defense wins. But definitely, if you need another Black Order counter, you might want to consider Doc Ock outside of Sinister Six. Okay, cool, and let's see them in action then. We're gonna try them with the ISOs in place that we have right now. Let me make sure I don't have the sim button in
To
place.
head off, you beautiful man. But have a great stream, brother.
Thank you, man, dogs. I appreciate you. Like I said, jumping on the call, and I hope your situation gets better with the computer and whatnot. But thank you so much for joining the call.
It's only my portable. It's not my actual stream.
Oh, it's your. Oh, okay. Well, we'll have fun with the family, and
yeah.
have fun with the family then, if that's the case.
Yeah. Everyone have a great one, and we'll all talk soon. All right. Cheers, guys.
Sounds good. All right, so we're gonna try this team composition. We're gonna and I'm gonna use them with Rhino for blitz on the end, but we can always change the turn order. I think for the next one, I'm gonna try adding Green Goblin, and we'll try to add Green Goblin and Shocker maybe, and see how that one goes. We're gonna take them up against this makeshift team for the turn order, but just so that we can see how the ISOs are being working on this team. So Healer on Doc Ock, Raider on Electro, and we have Striker on Swarm. We have Skirmisher, I think, on Mysterio. Let me see. I forgot the team that I did. Oh yeah, I have Mysterio on this one. And then Striker on Rhino. So let's see what happens here. So right off the bat, all those regions, that extra region in place. Let's see if we can get any vulnerables in here with the AoE from Electro. No vulnerables actually landed on this one. So this is where, if there's no vulnerables, then this one right here is the one that I can have a little bit of trouble landing at times. That's why I said maybe at level 5, just to add extra focus to Swarm, it would be fantastic. There's one vulnerable finally in here because I did make him a skirmisher. I'm gonna attack him so that Striker can go ahead and double tap on him for the extra attack. This is the summon. We got the offense up. He is healing, so he just added another heal onto Rhino there. And like I said, this team just technically you win in 2-3 turns usually with Sinister Six. So lots of damage with this team. I'm gonna change the team composition here and let's bring in Vulture. Vulture changes the dynamic of this team. Oop. All right, so Vulture I do have as a raider, so now I have 2 people going pretty fast and early, so that both Swarm and Rhino can take advantage of vulnerables in the field. We didn't get anything last time around from Electro, so we'll see how this one turns out. We'll do this one. Sen, are you excited for Friday?
Wait, what's on Friday?
I think Friday is when we're doing that thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got so many things going on. I need to check on that chat and see what people are talking about.
Yeah.
There's too many channels, so all my discords are muted.
Oh.
Otherwise, my phone would explode.
I hear you. I have some Discords muted too. All right. So for this one, see, Vulture ends up going first actually. So we apply some slows, and two vulnerables already in place for either Rhino or Swarm to take advantage of. So for this one, we're gonna try and get more vulnerables in the field. Once again, I'm not getting anything from Electro vulnerable, but it's fine. You end up applying the offense down. So I'm gonna do special onto free Royal Guard, and then that extra attack as well, because I have him as a striker. Offense up on the rest of the team. So I'm actually not gonna do here that, but this should be able to get rid of the evades. Actually gets rid of the team here. AoE, another vulnerable in place from Vulture. But as you saw with Vulture, you get a lot more speed, a lot of turn meter going your way. I think they only got to attack, if anything, once with this team. So that's why I do end up liking Vulture a lot more lately than Mysterio in this team. And getting vulnerables in place with him. Another option. Both him and Electro going early just gives you plenty of opportunities for vulnerables to be landed on the opposite end. Cool. All right, so that's Sinister Six team. I could technically try Green Goblin, but Green Goblin is so slow, to be honest. I don't even know if adding him into this one and making an attack with him, you'll see why we made him. I believe we made him a raider. So there's just no point in me showcasing that. A fun faction though. It's a fun faction to work on nowadays. They do so many things for you. You get to unlock 2 legendaries, and now Doc Ock being a part of this faction, they're definitely a fun, good team that will win in different aspects of the game with them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this ISO Community Day discussion on Sinister Six.